Knowles on the News. Susan Knowles.
I just wanted to pop on here really quickly and do a special Knowles on the News in light of what's been revealed about Donald Trump this past day or so. You may have heard or seen the video of where Donald Trump in 2005 was on a bus with a bunch of other guys, and they were sitting around talking, unfortunately, like a lot of times men do. Not all men. There are a lot of men who would never even think about talking like that and being really disrespectful in what they're saying to either the woman they're talking about or their own wives or just women in general. But it happens. And here's the thing. It's always happened. It's always happened. It's only because we live in this politically correct world today that when we hear something like that, we're all aghast by that. Again, I'm not defending it. I think it's disgusting, but it's not surprising. And here's why. As I've been talking and telling you all along the way I feel, he needed to be more presidential. Well, you know, in a way, what I was saying to you is, it's the character of the person. And the character of the person either needs to change or it stays the way it is, and that's not so good. Now, I thought he was trying to change a little bit. We've heard the evangelicals come out and say, oh, he's a changed man. We've heard other people in the Republican Party come out and say he's a changed man. And he was talking more presidential, probably because of Roger Ailes in the last few weeks. There were some slip-ups. You know, those are naturally going to happen if you're trying to change a character flaw of yours that needs to be changed. And obviously, there are character flaws that he needs to change. Now, do we all have character flaws? You bet we do. Some are more severe than others. But I think this character flaw has been one that has been with him pretty much all of his life. He hasn't treated his ex-wives all that well. He's cheated on his ex-wives. He has talked poorly about some of them in a lot of respects. It's who he is. And I think a lot of times looking at it more from a perspective of somebody who is in the mental health field, a lot of times people who are egotistical, who have perhaps been coddled and catered to a lot of their lives, they're like that. They think the world revolves around them, not like a lot, or maybe let's just say some athletes who feel the same way, and they get what they want, and they know that they can get what they want, and so sometimes they say really unkind things about people based upon their own ego. And it strokes their ego to think that, oh, I can get anybody I want. Now, here's the one thing. Well, and let me add this. When you do that, as whether you're a man, a woman, whomever, it shows how little or how small you are in a lot of respects. And by that I mean, if you're not confident in yourself in a particular area, you're going to talk like that. You're going to act as though you have some ability to do something that maybe you wouldn't otherwise normally have. Now, Donald Trump, in a lot of respects, and I'm not trying to judge him, but he isn't the most handsome man in the world. He just isn't. And I think he probably knows that. And I think that if he didn't have a lot of his fortune and fame, he wouldn't be with Melania, and he wouldn't have been with the other women that he's been with. I'm just telling you. Look at Billy Joel. Billy Joel, love you, but you are not the best looking man in the world, and yet you got Christy Brinkley, okay? You had her at one time. So, money and talent helps. It really does. Now, all that aside, this should not be a surprise to anyone, whether it's somebody in the GOP, Donald Trump supporters, and those people who were never Trumpers. This is not a surprise. It's really something that most people probably expected somewhere along the line. I mean, people were saying all along, hey, you got to be careful about having Donald Trump because this stuff is going to start coming out. And then people say, well, but look at Hillary. I can't disagree with you. Hillary is atrocious. Her behavior is atrocious. the allegations against her are atrocious, and they don't even match up to having an all boys talk on a bus that went down into the gutter. Okay. It doesn't really add up. It doesn't. Benghazi, yeah, that's worse than the bus talk. It really is. Anything else, the email servers, on and on and on, the list just piles on top of one another. And you know that anything that Hillary Clinton has ever done is probably worse, or at least equal to, if not worse, than what Donald Trump has done. So why are we even surprised? And for all the GOP people who are coming out now saying, oh, well, I'm withdrawing my support. You wanted a reason to withdraw your support all along because you felt this way about him, but you went along with it because you felt that's something that you needed to do to support your party. I get that. And then we have Ted Cruz, who, in the beginning said, don't vote for Donald Trump because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe he had inside information that other people didn't have at the time. But then Ted even turned around and voted for him. And other people, or endorsed him, I should say, and said he was going to vote for him. And now this. And other people are saying, well, Ted Cruz, that's exactly what he should have done. And no big deal. And I've looked at the comments from the not from the Never Trumpers, but for those people who are always Trumpers, and nothing has changed for them. Absolutely nothing has changed. They say, yeah, it's bad behavior. It happened 11 years ago. Okay, now we're on to a new day. He has a new character, and we're moving forward. I think what we need to draw from this is that whether we want to admit it or not, whether we like to talk about reality anymore, and a lot of times I don't think we do, but that's, it's neither here nor there. What we have to realize is we have two flawed candidates. We really do. I don't know of a time that we've ever been in this position. I really don't. Now, that doesn't mean that some of these people that we voted for in the past haven't been flawed individuals. It just hasn't been brought out in public as much as it has this time. You can't tell me that John F. Kennedy, God rest his soul, was a saint. We all know that allegations with Marilyn Monroe, and even his brother with Marilyn Monroe, and all of that, and cheating on Jackie O a number of times, whatever the case may be. Nobody likes that. Nobody thinks that's appropriate, and yet he was president. And then we have Bill Clinton, who, even though he was having an affair, whether you want to call it that or not, with Monica Lewinsky, he stayed president. Nothing happened to him. He did get impeached, but he was still president. And we had Hillary, who participated in all of it, who went to people, according to what the women who made the allegations said, she even went to them and said, thank you for what you're doing for my husband. And let's not even talk about what she was doing on her own. I mean, nobody is a saint. I just think that we have two candidates that may be, I don't know, more flawed than any other individuals we've ever had. Or at least because we are in the days and times that we are right now, we are seeing their flaws in living color magnified across the screen. And I think, I've seen the social media and the mainstream media come out and say, well, this is not the way that you treat women. I think women, for the longest time, and again, not as much anymore because of political correctness, but women used to complain all the time. They'd go by a construction zone and guys were calling out, saying vulgar things. Yeah, it's wrong. It's disrespectful. It always has been, and it always will be. But it has occurred. And we're saying it's so ultra bad, and that so bad that he should step down because of the fact we don't do that in 2016. Everything now is about the speech that you make and what you're saying, and that hurts you 100% most of the time these days. If it were 2005 when he was doing it, and we found out in 2005, people would just say, "Oh yeah, that's an idiot making idiot talk about women." Okay, but nothing would have been done about it because in 2005, we didn't talk about things the way we do right now. I mean, you can't even give somebody a compliment anymore unless they file a sexual harassment suit against you. I mean, come on. Everything has just been magnified to the nth degree. So let's not sit and pretend that, this is the most egregious thing that you've ever heard. And again, with all the senators who are coming out and the representatives on the Republican side saying, I think he should step down, you thought that all along. You're just using this as an excuse. With the exception of Mike Lee. Mike Lee has never wavered. He has said this is a bad candidate from the very beginning. He doesn't endorse him. And he's just being true to himself, and I give him credit for doing that. There are a number of people who feel that Donald Trump was never the right candidate and should never have been put in this position. And now he's here. Now the question is, what do we do about it? Is what he said 11 years ago so bad, so egregious, so wrong, so criminal, so whatever, that he should step down and somebody else should be put in his place? I think the American people, probably the majority of the people, have made that decision, and their decision is they're going to vote for Trump and they're going to support Trump, and they feel that this is just a distraction and just a way to have Hillary win. And I guess you're going to have to make up your own mind about this and where you stand. It doesn't help for us to, go out there and say, well, see, I told you so. I mean, I understand that. And I'm one of the people that basically are sitting here today going, not that I told you so, but in so many ways I tried to tell you so. But I don't know, how I feel one way or the other about whether or not this should allow him to continue on and be the candidate. My feeling is that the majority of the Americans have made their decision. And I don't like it when the minority of voters, then decide, well, this is what should be done. And that's not how our system works. If the majority wants Donald Trump, then you know what? Then we have to live with it, and that's what we get. That's our system. It's unfortunate that we didn't do things in the beginning, perhaps, that would have given us a different outcome. We have what we have. If he steps down, okay. If that's what the majority wants, then that's what we get, and we move forward with that. And should Hillary Clinton step down? Hillary Clinton should have stepped down 30 years ago, but we still have Hillary Clinton on the Democrat side. And trust me, all of this stuff with Donald Trump, what they're bringing out, it is only going to get worse. I don't know if, Julian Assange has some big thing to take Hillary down. I have no idea. We'll wait and see. But as I've said before to you, Teflon Hillary, she doesn't go down, man. I'm telling you, I don't care what you throw her way. They always seem to get out of it because there's always somebody who's willing to help them get out of it. You know as well as I do, there are 1,000 people lined up who could take Hillary down one at a time, but they're not going to do it. You know why? Because they enjoy walking, talking, and breathing and living on this planet. That's why. And so Donald Trump doesn't carry that same type of clout or weight. And no matter what's happening right now, you can guarantee there's stuff going on behind the scenes that is so much worse than what you think this election is going to be about. We're looking at right now potentially having the President of the United States declare war in Syria. So I'm not really sure I care all that much about what Donald Trump said 11 years ago. I care what is happening today, and I care what's happening to my country that we're not being told about. As I've said to you before, elections are important, but that elections are not going to save this country. If you still think that way, then you are sadly mistaken, and you're going to be shocked again, I guess. That once again, wow, I thought if I got XYZ, then this would happen. It's not that way anymore. We're not in that country anymore. We're not in those days and times. We really should be worried more about our survival. We should be worried about what the decisions this president is trying to make behind our backs, keeping it out of the media so that this could occur. We have a problem with the media. You and I need to become the media. The media is gone. If you have any, and I know you don't, but if there's anybody out there within the sound of my voice that thinks the media is going to uncover anything for you and be on your side, you're sadly mistaken. And that's one mistake that Donald Trump made in the beginning because he thought he had the media wrapped up. They were giving him all that airtime, and he thought, man, this is great. Nothing could be better. Well, you see how wrong that was. The media turned on him like sharks, like everybody knew that they would, and they're continuing to do that, and they're not going to let this go. And anything that comes out about Hillary, they're going to bury it. That's what they always do. So, again, you need to watch and see what else is going on behind the smoke and mirrors that they're putting forth out there right now to us. There's a lot more serious stuff coming that could be serious implications to us right here in the United States. Don't be fooled by the fact that just because it's happening in Syria, it's not happening here and it's not going to impact us. It will. It already has. You know, when you have a president who's sitting there contemplating war, and you have a Senator Mike Lee, who has to come out and remind the president, hey, if you want to declare war, you got to come through us. Well, let me tell you, Mike Lee, you're right about 99% of the time. But if Obama can make an argument that, hey, I needed to declare war in Syria because it was a direct, imminent threat to the United States, you lose again. And this president isn't into caring about what you or I think or what the laws are. He's going to do what he wants to do to get what he wants to get. And what better way to throw us off, continue to keep us distracted, and to have Hillary put into office. You know, I know 100% I do not want Hillary as president of the United States. But we are in a sad shape right now with the RNC. We really are. We are a party that is crumbling. And that's why we are right now in the position that we're in. It's not going to be an easy fix for us. Even if you have Trump step down and Pence, step up to be the president, you really think that everybody's going to go, oh, okay, I'll just go out and vote for Pence and then Hillary won't get in. No, you've got people who will be even more divided and more against each other than you have right now. As I said, there are people that are so pro-Trump that they look at him, and I've heard him say it, as their God. And they're not going to stand by and allow people to dictate to them that they can't vote for Donald Trump because that's what they've been doing. And they've been getting themselves into that position so they can vote for Trump and have him to be president of the United States. So this is a setback for him, a huge setback. I don't know. I mean, Sunday with the debate is going to be a debacle. I mean, it really is. Every question out of anybody's mouth and every comment that is being made is going to be about this. And listen, you know as well as I do, that was planned by the Democrats. They did it right before this second debate because on the first debate, maybe he was doing too well. So we have a second debate where he's going to be so embarrassed. I mean, he really will. Everything will be about this. And as an American who's worried about her country, I don't want the debates to be about this. Again, I've wanted to know, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to help the United States? How are we going to survive all the damage that has been done over the past 8 years? To me, that's more important. Getting the right person in there would be the best. But I don't know, with the candidates that we have, that anybody feels 100% comfortable. And I shouldn't say anybody. I think the people that are absolutely pro-Trump are very comfortable with him, and it doesn't matter what he does or what he did 11 years ago. As long as they think that he can go out and turn this country around, that's all that matters to them. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this all goes as more and more people, more and more in Congress call for him to step aside, to step down, to get somebody else in there. Who are you going to get? You're not going to call up Ted Cruz, that's for sure. Because, Ted has kind of proven to everybody, he says one thing, but he does another. He's a politician, just like everybody else. Was that disappointing? To me, absolutely it was disappointing. If you're going to say something, stick with it. He didn't stick with it. So who are you going to get? I don't know. Every person that they're going to bring up is going to have a flawed background. Something they're going to nitpick and bring out so that Hillary can get in there. We just need to stay strong, quit attacking each other, stay focused, and let's see how all of this plays out. This country right now, is in terrible shape, and we have a big problem on our hands that we need to quickly solve and move on. Until next time, this is Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News.